Hello and welcome to the Creative Connection. I am your host, Cyndi Thomsen, and today I'm beginning a new series of conversations about reclaiming your voice, reigniting your vision, and leaning into a life that is well lived, a life that you are creating to live passionately in. I'm calling it fall into transition. As the seasons change and evolve, so do we. Sometimes with resistance and sometimes with open arms. I have many friends who love fall because of the changing leaves and the crispness in the air. And then I have many friends who are sad because what it means is the end of their favorite season, summer, and the heat with its moisture or with its dryness, depending on where you live. So as we move into the fall, we're going to take the next 8 weeks and look at this idea of transition. And I have several guests lined up to join me over the course of the next 8 weeks. And I'm looking forward to having conversations with all of them. So today, I want us to begin this episode with me. And I want you, as I am sharing my stories, I want you to reflect upon your own stories. And what I want to talk about specifically today is mindfulness, being mindful of the present moment. Presence, separate from being mindful. And, well, those are buzzwords, so to speak, in today's world. They are also the foundation for living a life with clarity and with intention. So this morning, as I do most mornings, I was reading several stories, either in the realm of psychology or creative arts, and I happened upon one that I wanted to share a tiny little bit about before I share my story with you today. The title of the article, and this is in The Artful Parent, you can find it theartfulparent.com. Psychology says preferring solitude over constant socializing is a subtle sign of these 8 unique traits. And this article was published on September 22nd and was written by Tina Fey, Fey. So what I found very, I'd say, resonant for me in this article is that I am a person that prefers solitude. And there are days in my life where I go, oh, this is probably not the best way to be in the world by myself. But what this article shared with me is that while sometimes preferring solitude over constant socialization is a part of being an introvert, which I am, and a lot of people go, well, you're what? No, you're not. But it's also a subtle sign of some unique traits. And if you are, like me, someone who prefers to find themselves alone on a walk, or in your living room, or on your back deck, or maybe even taking a vacation alone, perhaps you should find strength in what this article suggests, and it is based on some research. So there are 8 traits that we who liken ourselves to being more in solitude tend to have: self-awareness, creativity, emotional strength, independence, empathy, introspection, value of time, and inner peace. Now, I could go more into the article, but you can go look that article up yourself. But what I wanted to share with you is on our journeys of life, We have moments of solitude and we have moments of community and connection. And I find for myself that sometimes in moments of solitude, I can find my own presence. I can be grounded. I can be mindful of what I'm thinking about. I can be mindful of where I am in the world. And I notice that when I'm intentional about those things, my creativity blooms or blossoms and solves problems, but there's no one around to hear how I have solved the problems of the world. So I'm going to share with you a little bit more about my stories that you'll find in my memoir that's forthcoming. Again, the name of that book is Courageous, A Journey from Pain to Purpose. I found that in my life, particularly in my life as a mother, and I began motherhood at the age of 34 with the birth of my first son, who, yes, is now 30. And I then had my second child at 35, and then almost 36, and then 37. And I found that in the rushing of motherhood, in the rushing of life, in the rushing of trying to get everything done, it was very easy to forget me. Moments of solitude were few and far between, to the point where I would find myself deeply enmeshed in the stress and the anxiety and the trying to figure out what life was for these three little beings and two cats and dog that I took care of at that point in time in my life. Not to mention the husband, who, because I took a step back from my work, I was now making sure that the house was clean and that everyone was fed and that the kids had what they needed in their developmental phase of life. But I was the forgotten soul. I was not present or mindful of myself in any. I also discovered that when I made the choice to go back to work, when my youngest was nearly 3, that it was very easy to forget them and get so hurried and rushed in the busyness of life that, again, that self-forgetting that I had started continued. And I soon discovered that I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what my voice was. I was speaking for everyone else. I was very empathic to what was happening around me, so much so that I began to experience probably something that some of you can relate to, quite a bit of cognitive dissonance and anxiety and stress and the sleepless nights, not because I had screaming babies and crying babies who needed to be fed, but because I could not connect to my inner voice. I also noticed during this time period that I was struggling finding my place in the work world. I didn't know what my purpose was anymore. Prior to having kids, I had primarily worked in retail, and I wanted to do something different because that was, in fact, a job that I began when I was 16. And after nearly 20 years, one would think it was time to move on. But because I struggled finding my niche and my place in the world, I fell back on the comfort of that role, of that type. Somewhere in my mid 40s, I couldn't do this anymore. I needed something else. And I dove into my creativity, the creative side of my life, the storytelling, the theater. And I took that mantle on thinking that that was, in fact, what I wanted to do, because I grew up knowing that I had a natural bent for doing that. And maybe that's what I wanted to do. However, as I share in my memoir, life reared its ugly head during that time period. And I found, because of some issues that my husband had with his health and some issues that came up with some of my children, one or more of my children, I had to step back from that again and fall back into that self-forgetting, self-unawareness that I had developed a pattern for when raising 3 young children. So the point of today's conversation is about presence and mindfulness and how this can lead to clarity, can lead to connection, purpose, and if we are quiet enough for a moment and can hear that inner voice that wants to come out, it takes courage to open our mouth and speak. So presence and mindfulness is not just about meditation. While that is a great entree to learning how to be mindful and present, that is not what it means. Let's start with presence. Presence is about paying attention with intention, intentionally paying attention. So if I asked you for a moment to look at the space around me and focus on one thing that you see in my environment, do you see as you are watching this? Comment in the comments section about what you see. What do you notice about it? What are some details of what you are observing? Now do the same thing in your environment. Look around your environment and notice one thing. And I don't want you to just glance at it and then glance away. I want you to actually look at it and notice the details. So I am looking at a speaker and I am noticing that it is black primarily. It sits about 5 inches up off of my desk. It has a silver ring around the portion that has the sound come out, and that's where the screen is, that the vibration happens, because sound is a vibration. So what do you notice in your space? If it is something that you would like to share in the comments, please do. And notice one detail about it and put that in the comments. So presence and this being aware of what's in our space and in our body is the gateway to reclaiming your voice, to reclaiming your vision. Now, mindfulness cannot happen without presence. Unless we allow ourselves the moment to be present in the here and now, we will not be aware of what's happening internally, what's happening externally. Without presence, we live by default, not design. Mindfulness matters for your voice and your vision, because a life without intention is just the car going down the road without a roadmap or a way to get to where you're going. So if we consider the fact that when you are present, you will notice things like your mind chatter, your heart chatter, and if you are someone that deeply feels things, you will notice the chatter that's going on in what I call your soul spot or your lower belly, your lower dantian, your power center. When you are listening to all 3 areas, you will begin to feel more aligned. You will begin to feel more like you are moving in a direction of design, not default. So let me give you a simple practice that you can use to begin to become more present, to become more mindful, more aware. It is a 60-second breathing reset. If you can allow yourself a minute several times a day to just be and to practice breathing. Be aware of your breath. You will be on the road to being more present in your life. To do that, I recommend that you gently close your eyes, put one hand on your heart and one on your lower belly, and take a deep breath in and out through the mouth. This time I want you to take a deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then release it through the mouth. So breathe in, hold, and again, hold. So a 60-second breathing reset would be about 5 of those, especially if you're counting 5 in, hold, 5 or more out, and do that several times with a break between so that you don't get light. There are a couple of things you will notice. You will notice that your heart rate lowers. You will notice that your mind quiets. You will notice that if there was feeling of any tension anywhere, it will begin to dissolve in just 60 seconds. Yes. I used to do this 2020. I was working for a cruise line, and as you all know, things shut down, and I retained my job during the shutdown to work with clients. And I found myself doing the 60-second breathing reset many times during the day. Another opportunity or practice that you could use to gain some presence and some mindfulness, some awareness, is to journal around one question and one question only for several days. And that question is, what truly matters right now? So if I were journaling on that right now, I would say, what truly matters right now is the message of awareness that I'm hoping that you're getting. And given that, what truly matters right now is that I remain present, mindful of my words, and aware of what I am doing. If I take that one step further, what truly matters right now in that is that my feet are on the ground and that I'm modulating my tone in such a manner that says, I care about whether you are here. And a third practice that you could do to help heighten your presence, your mindfulness, your awareness in the present moment is of asking the following series of questions in a given moment. Where am I? I am sitting in my office. Who am I with? I am presently with myself in hopes that this message will go out to many others. And what am I feeling? I am feeling hopeful that at least one person will hear something that I share today and it will change their life for the better. That I will create impact with at least one person. Presence. Being here now. Presence is a gateway to reclaiming your voice, your identity, your vision, and what truly matters to you. Presence is to mindfulness awareness. It's being aware of how I am being, and I am doing it with intention. I am thoughtfully considering that I am here now. I have the tools of breathing for 60 seconds, of journaling what truly matters right now, and of looking around where I am, identifying where I am, identifying who I am with and what I am feeling. The touchstones of presence and being mindful. As I near to the end of today's conversation with you, I want to share with you some excitement around the next several episodes where I will be sharing other people and their ideas around what it means to be mindful, present, and living with intention. Vicki Garrett will be one of my guests, and Vicki speaks about heart check, about the feelings, the deep feelings that we get sometimes, and why listening to them is important. Then I will be visited by Priya. Priya was looking for people in the world that did work around reclaiming your voice. She has 4 steps to helping you reclaim your voice in relationship. She does work around the throat chakra, and if you are familiar with the chakras at all, this one right here, if there is tension and tightness, it is difficult to even open our mouths. And if speaking up is something that is important to you and you intend to do it, that is so important. Then I will have Dr. Jenny Wallig on. Jenny and her husband do what is called powerful love. It is about teaching us about relationships. They are a powerhouse couple, but they don't do it from the couple standpoint. They do it from the individual standpoint first. You need to know who you are before you can be in a good relationship with another. So they work with each party individually in hopes that they're building a powerful love connection. And then I'm going to have my husband on again, and we're going to talk about presence in relationship. How we can take what we've learned over the course of the 3 previous weeks and put that into relationship. Building a foundation for ourselves of presence, of self-connection, of self-acceptance, self-love, compassion, empathy, to create great relationships. And while my book may be called Courageous, A Journey from Pain to Purpose, my husband's book is called The Joy of Conflict. And how can we remain present and mindful and aware when we are in conflict with another? Rich conversation for that week. And then I'm going to have a wonderful gentleman who I had the privilege of meeting several years ago at an online opportunity, Jacob Nordby. Jacob Nordby is an author, he is a speaker, he is a teacher. He has just started the Institute for Creative Living, and we're going to talk about what it means to use our creativity to help us be present and how it helps us be stronger in relationship. And then I hope to, and I haven't solidified this one yet, I hope to, the week after Jacob is here, to have another artist on. And I haven't decided if this is going to be a visual artist, a writer, a singer, a dancer, an actor, but I'm going to have another artist on that will talk about how they got to where they are. And was it presence and mindfulness and intention, or was it the luck of the draw? Because sometimes we look at people out in the world who are very talented and we say, oh, they're just. And I'm going to shoot that myth down because I know that it takes intention. I know that it takes presence, and I know that it takes mindfulness. And then I will wrap up this 8-week series with a webinar, an interactive opportunity for you to join in the podcast. I will be live that day, and I will have things that we can do, and I will most likely do it on the YouTube platform rather than on Riverside and then post. But I don't know yet. I haven't quite decided. So that's what's coming up. I am so excited that this idea around presence and mindfulness and living with intention can help us go through the changing of the season, the changing of fall into winter, And winter has been known, for me anyways, maybe for you, where I don't want to go into hibernation, but I wanted to go into creativity. And as such, I just closed my fall circle of women who are doing the Rooted in Circle webinar for 6 weeks, and I will be launching the next one in January. And this is my early tease to you. If you're listening and realizing how much you long to pause, to breathe, to realign with yourself, to become present, to become aware, to become intentional about how you are showing up, I want to invite you to my Rooted in You Winter Circle. Yes, it is a 6-week circle. It is a gathering of women. And if you are a man listening to this, my husband does something similar and I can connect you. It is for someone who is going through a transition. I find that most of the time this is a woman in their 40s or 50s or 60s and beyond, and you're ready to reconnect with yourself, rediscover what really matters to you. Now, it is possible you could be younger than that, and this could be you as well. Don't let age stop you. This is for someone that is in transition and is looking for a direction, is looking for a guide, is looking for a circle of 12 people total, including yourself, of support. The Winter Circle will begin January 3rd, and if you register by November 15th, you'll receive an early bird pricing on it, plus some bonus coaching calls from me before we even start. Spots are limited to 12, so everyone in that circle can be seen, can be heard, and are supported and feel that way. If you feel called to join us, the link to reserve your spot is in the show notes. In conclusion, presence is not about doing more. It is about remembering who you are, where you are, who you are with, and what matters in this. I encourage you to take 60 seconds today to pause and breathe. Notice what shifts. And if you're ready to take this work deeper, I'd love to see you in the circle. Next week, I haven't finalized which one first, but my belief is that it will be Vicky with Heart Chatter. We air on Friday at 5 p.m. I will re-record with her ahead of time because I realized that the last time I tried to go live with a guest and we were on 2 different computers, technology got the best of us. So until we see each other next time, many blessings on you. Live well. Create the life that you are passionate about living. Be present. And go forward with an intention and mindfulness.